Hello and welcome to the Justice Factor. The statue of Cecil John Rhodes at UCT has fallen and been removed. What happens now? Our first guest today is Minister of Arts and Culture, Nathi Mthethwa. After that discussion, we'll look at the bombshell dropped by DA leader Helen Zille on Sunday when she announced that she will not be available for election at the party's next conference. Joining us for that discussion is Professor Stephen Friedman, Director of the Center for the Study of Democracy at Rhodes University and the University of Johannesburg. We'll follow that up with our regular feature, the winners and losers of the week. But first, we look at the debate over statues and heritage in South Africa with Minister Nathi Mthethwa. Minister, welcome to the show. I have to ask you, first thing, you've announced today that you'll be holding consultative meetings on Friday and further on. What are these meetings? What do you hope to achieve with them?
Well, we said from the beginning, Justice, that when this whole thing started, when the protest started at Rhodes University, we pointed to the fact that we have mechanisms to deal with the issues of signs and symbols, like the statues. But we said we should not tire to dialogue as a society, because we are a nascent democracy. People like to say, no, 21 years. You look around, you will find that even in other countries, you have these challenges as we are building the nation in South Africa. You are going to have these challenges from time to time, but as government, as early as 1999, we knew that such things will always come. And that is why we had to put in place legislative framework to deal particularly with the issues of the heritage landscape in our country.
Is this what you're going to do on Friday? Just tell them that that's the law, follow the law? It seems to me that the horse has bolted, that people are defacing, whether it's the statue of Gandhi or Paul Kruger or many, many others, and science and so forth, when you will be sitting with a group of 200 academics and student leaders saying, no, don't do this at your institutions.
Well, the fact that people are defacing these statues does not mean that sanity should not prevail. It does not mean that we should not engage and be able to say, what is it that needs to be done? This is not a lawless country. There are laws governing all the aspects of our lives, and therefore this one in particular, over and above the law, it is more of the conversations we are having continuously with communities. And at this point in time, we'll be discussing this particular matter, which is not the statues matter per se. It's a broader heritage landscape in our country. There are issues of archiving and archives in the country. There are issues of geographical name changes and so on. So you have a package of things which, as South Africans, we should always engage on, so that at the end of the day, we learn from the process, because the government's policy of reconciliation is still there. Whatever you do has to be measured against what the Constitution says, what the values and the principles of the Constitution says. So there's no way that because people are defacing, therefore let them deface, the house is bolted. I don't think so.
Do you think that yourself, as the minister, the African National Congress as an organization, Nelson Mandela, who's been mentioned quite a lot during this debate, we're on the wrong side of history on this one. If you think about it, someone made the example that if you are Chumani Mangwele and you walk past that statue every day, and you remove Chumani Mangwele and you put a Jewish student, and you put a statue of Hitler over there, how can we really have expected our young people today who are conscious to turn around and say, oh, okay, it's all right for me to do that? No one else in the world does that.
No. We must distinguish between two things here. We must distinguish between anarchy and what people raise as their views. The students at UCT have protested about this particular statue, and it's their democratic right to do so, Tomorrow somebody will protest about another statue. It's their democratic right to do so. What we're saying is that what cannot be accepted is that, one, the approach, a blanket approach on signs and symbols in the country. Each sign and symbol has to be looked into on its merits, and two, there is no way that government will allow people to destroy the statues, whether it's Cecil John Rhodes or whoever. Even if you've got to place a particular statue elsewhere, whether it's museum or wherever, it really doesn't matter. But we cannot obliterate history simply by destroying
But
a
the
state.
students are not in this movement. It's not asking for history to be obliterated. They're asking for a very painful reminder of a colonial apartheid past to be removed from being showed up in their faces all the time.
That is why we have commended the students, particularly at UCT, because they have raised their views about a statue. And up until now, there hasn't been any opposition. What we have said is that whether it's students or the authorities at UCT or any other institution at that, they must still follow the law of the country.
They didn't follow the National Heritage Resources Act, the law that you're...
Yes, they still have to follow that law.
In retrospect, they've already removed the statue.
No.
So if I'm one of those people who says, no, don't remove the statue.
No, but you see, it's for their good. Because tomorrow somebody will challenge that and win in the court of law because you have circumvented the law. So what we are saying is that even at this point, and as I heard anyway, is that the authorities at UCT are applying to ensure that they follow all the processes within the Act itself. So the issue for me is that the students have not done anything wrong. They've raised their views. So those views have to be subjected to the process.
But they could have followed the law. They've done something wrong. They've transgressed the National Heritage Resources Act. They could have said, I don't like that statue. I want a public determination, and I want that statue removed. It could have been done within 3 months of one putting in that demand.
But the statue was not removed by the students. What I'm saying to you is that the authorities at UCT are the ones who are responsible for the removal of the statue.
Do you think the authorities at UCT were irresponsible by accident?
Well, they had to follow the law. That's what we are saying.
And they haven't followed the law.
No, what they did, they know exactly what they were supposed to do.
They're following the law in retrospect. You can't say, oops, sorry, I stole your stuff. I'll go.
Well, I'm not sure about that because you must then tell me at what point did they apply to the Heritage Agency. So I can't conclusively say that they applied after or before. But the fact of the matter is that we need to emphasize the point that if people are raising issues, genuine as they may be, you still have to follow the law so that those who are considering will take into account all manner of things which have to be taken into account.
A lot of people have said yourself, the African National Congress, the South African government has failed to lead on this issue, and you're reacting to events as they unfold. Did you fail to lead?
Not at all. Not at all.
I
don't know what informs that, because you see, I told you when we started here that as early as 1999, we know even now that we are talking about the statues today. Tomorrow we'll talk about the name change of a street and so on and so forth. Government has put in place mechanisms to ensure that when that time comes, you are not found wanting. We are not wanting as government. There is a legislative framework which has to be followed. Now, whether Justice Malala decides today to call for a name change of a building or a site or whatever, it's neither here nor there. There are processes, proactive processes, which government has put in place, so society has to follow those processes.
You wrote in the Sunday Independent, and this was the sentence that struck me. It was the last sentence of your article. It said, "We cannot hold on to a colonial heritage and pursue a transformative agenda at the same time." It sounds to me that you're saying, well, let's not hold on to this. Let's move them to a special place so that we can continue with that transformative agenda.
Look,
you can't have both, as you say.
Yes. You know, the heritage landscape in South Africa today is viewed through the prism of our erstwhile colonizers, and that's the reality of the matter. And as a response to that, you would have noticed that a lot of things have changed, but not all of them. You still have a long way to go. But currently, as we speak, as we are busy with this statue thing and so on, we announced a few months ago that we are, for instance, in changing this landscape, we are building a Heroes Acre where you'll have so many statues. We are talking about removal of statues. We are talking about installing statues which are meant to change the landscape in our country. So therefore, that process of transforming the heritage landscape in our country will continue, because we have to forge ahead with the project of transformation in our society. And our transformation has always taken on board matters of reconciliation, have always taken on board our own history and the fact that our transition was a negotiated transition. We have to negotiate all the way. We have to dialogue all the way. Whether you feel strongly about something, you still have to negotiate with those who do not see eye to eye with you on that particular matter.
Minister Mthetwa, I'm afraid we've run out of time. Thanks so much for coming through. We look forward to hearing more from you on this issue and others on arts and culture. Thank you.
Thank you.
After the break, we ask whether the departure of Helen Zille is a disaster for the DA.